You've trained hard, you're in shape, training has gone well and you've shown clear improvement. You're ready to race. But as the race comes closer, you can start feeling it. The butterflies, those nerves creeping in, the doubts. That voice in your head questioning whether you're really ready. Why does it still feel like everything could fall apart the moment you step on the blocks? In this video, I'm sharing 5 actionable strategies you can implement immediately to fix the one thing that might still be holding you back, your mental game. Because no matter how fit or technically sound you are, if your mindset collapses under pressure, your performance will too. And these aren't just theoretical concepts from a psychology textbook. These are battle-tested techniques used by the elite athletes to perform when it matters the most. And if you master these, and I mean truly master them, not just understand them intellectually, your swimming will transform. And I know this because I lived it. In my 20s, I spent 6 years training like crazy, pushing, grinding, showing up day after day, and zero improvement at competitions. Because physically, I had everything in place, but mentally, and I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit this, I was a wreck. I had trained my body to win, but my mind was always rehearsing how to lose. And that frustration eventually led me down to a new path, one that resulted in a PhD in performance psychology and a complete transformation in how I think about performance. And now, I help swimmers integrate the physical and the mental performance in a way that actually works. And if you want a deeper dive into how to build a mindset that shows up under pressure, check out my free ebook. It's packed with tools and strategies to help you become more confident, consistent, and mentally prepared on race day. You'll find the link in the description. I'm sharing the 5 most powerful mental strategies I've used and taught, tools that transform good swimmers into great ones. And these aren't abstract mindset tips. They're real, actionable tactics that you can use right now to stay calm, confident, and focused under pressure. And let's start with the foundation of any strong mental game. How to set goals that actually help you to perform. Because instead of unknowingly setting you up to fail. And this is where most swimmers go wrong. Long before the race even begins, they focus on outcomes instead of the process that creates them. And you heard it before. Goals such as I want to win, I want to go 105, I want to make finals. And these all sound like great goals, right? They're exciting, they're motivating in the moment, but they're also mentally dangerous. Because the moment you lock in on an outcome, you're placing your focus on something you can't fully control. You can't control who shows up to a race. You can't control the warm-up conditions, the weather, which lane you swim in, or your competitor's performance. And you can't really control whether you were sick 2 weeks before the competition. And that's where the pressure starts to build, because the only thing in reality you can control is your process. And effective goal setting isn't about winning or time. It's about developing qualities. It's about identifying specific aspects of your performance that you can focus on, that when executed properly creates the performance you want. It's about the process and not about the end product. And it starts with this crucial shift in your mindset from I want to win to I want to execute my race plan like I've trained for. From I want to go 105 to I want to nail every phase of my race. So if we take 100 races as an example, instead of obsessing over your final time, break it down into controllable checkpoints, such as explosive start, clean entry. And on the first 25, powerful strokes, steady rhythm, maintaining stroke count. And then into a tight turn, fast push-off, streamlining like a torpedo. And on the second and third 25, maintaining rhythm and kick drive and accelerating through those turns. And then on the final 25, increase the tempo while holding technique. And that's now your racing blueprint. And here's the secret. This process can be practiced. Now, your training becomes about improving these phases. Your lactate work reinforces the back-end tempo, maintaining your technique while you're fatigued. Your sprints from the blocks represent the first 25 of your race, and you automate the turns and streamlining through engaged repetitions. And any pace work is done maintaining the rhythm of the middle 50. So by the time you race, you're not chasing a time. You're following a script you already rehearsed hundreds of times. And when the excitement of the competition hits and your brain wants to spiral into nerves and expectations, you redirect your inner dialogue to explosive start, controlled entry, stroke count, tight turn, big push, one cue at a time, one phase at a time. And here's why that matters. When you focus on what you can control, you remove fear, you remove comparison, you remove outcome anxiety. You can swim a perfect race and not win, or you can win and still see room to grow in your process. The pressure disappears because you're focused on what you can control. And most importantly, your performance feels grounded and repeatable. Because when the process is emphasized, the outcome kind of takes care of itself. Chase the outcome and the process usually crumbles. So if you want consistent performance under pressure, stop obsessing over the results and start mastering what actually leads into them. And that brings us to a skill most swimmers overlook or even actively avoid, but one that's absolutely essential for long-term success and development. So let me say something that might surprise you. The most overlooked skill in mental training is learning how to see what's going right. And yeah, I know it sounds a bit soft, but here's the truth. Most swimmers are experts at self-criticism and total amateurs at positive self-recognition. Because when you finish a race and your brain goes straight to, I was too slow on that turn and I botched the start, or I didn't hold the pace I was training for, whatever. And maybe that sounds familiar. And now, here's what that does. It chips away at your confidence, just bit by bit, rep by rep, meet by meet. And over time, you start believing that you're not that good, no matter what the reality is. Because often there's far more going well than we realize. We just fail to recognize it. So let's fix that. And it starts by deliberately recognizing and owning your wins. Because a positive outlook and confidence are not personality traits. They're learned skills. Just like kick timing, just like breakouts, and just like any skills, you need to practice them. So here's your new mental routine. After every practice, and I mean after every single practice, grab a physical pen and physical piece of paper, and I guess phone is okay too, and write down 2 things you did well. That's it, 2 wins. Maybe you hit your stroke count on all your repeat 50s. Or maybe you executed your breathing pattern throughout the long set. Or maybe you just showed up on a day you didn't feel like it. Big or small, if it was a win, you write it down. And only after you've done that, you're allowed to reflect on one thing you want to improve. Just one. And so not 3, definitely not 5, just 1. And this keeps your self-awareness sharp without letting that negativity to take over. And here's what this does long term. It rewires your brain to scan for success. It builds a foundation of confidence that doesn't crumble every time something goes wrong. And it teaches you to compete from a place of strength and not insecurity. Because what you focus on expands. And if all you ever focus on is what's broken, you'll always feel broken. But if you train your mind to ask, okay, what's good? What are my strengths? What is working? And how can I build on my strengths? That's when real confidence starts to grow. And from this awareness, and not really from your ego. And that's what makes you dangerous on race day. Because confident swimmers don't just show up. They show up knowing they can execute. And when your confidence is anchored in real practiced awareness, it's not just the mindset, it's your secret mental weapon. And now, let's talk about the skill that makes that focus possible, especially under pressure: mindfulness. And before you roll your eyes, let's get one thing straight. I'm not talking about sitting cross-legged in your living room, maybe sipping some green tea, trying to levitate into a state of nirvana. That's not what this is, because mindfulness for swimmers just means one thing: being present when it counts. And now, here's what usually happens before a big race. Your mind starts time traveling. You replay that one awful race from last year. You imagine missing your target time again. You fast forward to failure before you even step onto the block. Your mind is everywhere except where it needs to be. The only place where you have power. Right here, right now. Because when your head is stuck in the past or panicking about the future, you cannot execute. And when you can't execute, your preparation kind of becomes worthless. So how do you stay present? And I don't mean just physically in the venue, but mentally locked in here and now. Start by doing this. Pay attention to your thoughts, not to really fix them, and definitely not to fight them, just to notice them. So catch yourself thinking, I always choke in the prelims, or what if I die on the third 50 again? And instead of spiraling into catastrophes, over time, teach yourself to respond again inside your head. Okay, that was a thought, it is not a fact. And thanks, brain, I see what you're doing, and we can kind of move on from here. Because that's a pattern interrupt. Because here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. Your brain tosses out stories all day long, and some might be useful, but unfortunately, they might also be very distracting. And your job is to notice and then refocus. Back to your breath, back to your warm-up, back to your routine, just back to now. And this won't feel natural at first. Your mind will wander. You'll get pulled back into these what-if situations. But every time you catch it and gently return to the present, your mind is getting stronger. And over time, that strength becomes second nature, and that's when pressure turns into focus. And that's when you are free. You're free to perform at your best. But to truly unlock that freedom under pressure, there's one more thing you need: a routine you can trust. And here's where most swimmers get it wrong. They train to get fitter, they train to get stronger, they train to get faster, and they work on their technique. But they don't train for the race day. And that's a huge miss, because performance under pressure, that's again a skill too. And every practice is a chance to rehearse your racing mindset, to dial in how you respond when it matters, to make everything automatic, so that when the big meet comes, you don't have to think, you just execute. And here's your new mission. Start building your pre-race routine now. Not the night before meet, I mean now. So what do you do in the morning of a competition? What do you eat and when? What's your warm-up like? What music gets you locked in? And what thoughts get you focused? And you can start testing and working on those things today. You can try different warm-up strategies before max effort sets. Experiment with the self-talk, music, breathing, pacing. Just find what switches you on. And then you run that routine over and over before hard practices, before time trials, before lower stakes meets. And the more often you rehearse it, the more automatic it becomes. Make it so familiar that when race day comes, nothing feels new. There's no guesswork, there's less stress, fewer decisions to make. Just your body clicking into performance mode like a machine. And when that happens, when you rehearsed your routine hundreds of times, the nerves don't hijack your performance. You stay locked in because your body and mind knows exactly what to do, because the plan is already in motion. And that's what gives you the edge when it counts. Still, even with the perfect routine, unfortunately, swimming doesn't always go as planned. You can do everything right and still fall short. And when that happens, your response matters more than the result, because you will fail. You'll fall short on days you thought you would be at your absolute best. You miss cuts you trained your heart out for. You'll have bad races, bad meets, and maybe even a bad season. And that is not pessimism. That's just reality. But here's the paradox. The more you will fail, the more likely you'll also succeed. But if, and only if you know how to bounce back. Because resilience isn't just toughing it out. It's about how you frame your setbacks. Do you see them as signals you're not good enough, or as feedback to grow from? And that's where Stoicism comes in. And yeah, it's an ancient philosophy, but it might be the most useful mental model an athlete can have today. Because at its core, Stoicism is brutally simple. Control what you can and let go of what you can't. Because there's no drama, no emotions spiraling out of control, and no wasted energy on things outside your lane. But here's what most people miss. This mindset isn't just for after the setback. It sharpens you before the race and anchors you during it as well. Did you miss a cut by 1/100? You can't change that, but you can refine your start, tighten your turns, sharpen your focus, and next time, the cut is easily yours. Bad lane, out of your hands, but your effort, your execution, that's within your power. The moment you adapt this mindset, your whole career changes. Because setbacks don't break you anymore, they fuel you. You start thinking, okay, this happened. What's next? That's resilience. And that's the mindset champions are made of. They don't quit, they don't blame others, they don't make excuses, they own their performance, learn from it, and always come back stronger. So if you've been stuck for a while, same times and same results, it's probably not your training plan. It might be your mental response to pressure. But here's the good news. Mental skills can be trained. You trained your body to get this far. Now it might be the time to train your mind to go further. Because when your psychology matches your physiology, that's when breakthrough performances happen. The butterflies will still be there on race day, but they won't scare you. They'll drive you. You'll step up onto the blocks, not with hope, but with certainty. So now, go do the work, because your breakthrough performance is waiting on the other side of mental mastery. And if any of this hit home, if you recognized yourself in these patterns, then what you need isn't just more meters or another technical tweak. You need a plan that connects your physical training with the psychology of performance. And that's exactly what I do in my one-on-one coaching. Because I'm not just a swim coach. After all, I hold a PhD in high-performance psychology. That means we go beyond sets and drills. We build the full system, your technique, your training plan, your race strategy, and the mental skills that make it all work when it counts. So if you're tired of training hard but not seeing it translate to racing, and ready to become the swimmer who shows up when it counts, click the link in the description and apply for one-on-one coaching. Let's integrate your mind and body and make this season the one where everything finally clicks. Okay, like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next